Thursday. I know I still am looking like I've recorded the Wednesday one, but I'm doing the Wednesday and Thursday and Friday ones together. So we are finishing off our Guardians of the Planet for this week. We are just looking today at energy saving. So we're going to have a very quick reading session for our Thursday's session. So we have, just to recap, yesterday we looked at how we can save energy when we travel through out and about. So looking at our bicycles and walking, having our walking buses when we're in a better place after COVID. Trying not to make short car journeys, which I said that I'm going to try and do. And then we look at energy use at home, trying to reduce our temperature at home and wearing a jumper so we don't use energy that we don't need. And I said at a school, I'm going to stop putting my radiator on 5 and put it on 3. And again, all of the devices that we use, we don't really realise how much electricity that uses and how much pollution it can create, and trying to reduce that as much as possible. So hopefully you've had a good think about that since our last session. So this session, we're going to look at energy saving, okay? And I imagine this comes up with lots and lots of tips you can see on the light bulbs there as to how we can save energy. So let's have a look. Energy saving. There are opportunities everywhere for a guardian of green energy like yourself to do your bit to save the planet. Here are a variety of ideas to help you reduce electricity and other energy use at home and away. The Guardian Guide to Energy Saving Out and About. Check that the doors of your fridges and freezers are closed as you walk down the aisles of the supermarket and at home. Mind your and other people's fingers as you do so. If you're at someone's house, ask if they want a light on in an unused room, and if they're happy for you to switch it off, do so. Annoyingly, we can't go to anyone's house at the moment, so that can apply to your house at home. Unless you need to reach the top of a 40-floor skyscraper, use the stairs rather than a lift. So if anyone lives in a flat, let's try and use our stairs instead of our lifts. Staying somewhere with a drafty door, use rolled up clothing or a spare blanket to block the gaps rather than turning the heating up. Okay, so let's have a look here on our light bulbs. A Guardian's Guide to Energy Saving at Home. Let's have a look. So, encourage your parents to buy electrical products which use less energy than average. In America, for example, many energy efficient products carry an Energy Star sticker. In Europe, like at home, the label shows how much energy is used by that object. I think if it's coloured green, it shows it's energy efficient, means that it uses not too much energy. Our next one, be a lightsaver. Switch off all unused lights when you leave a room. That's really important. I need to remember that. Take a stand against standby. Switch off and unplug electrical items so that they don't consume power. So when my TV's off, or I think is off, it's actually on standby and it's got a little red light. What I do now is try and switch it off at the wall, because that little red light shows to me it's on standby and it's still using electricity, even though the screen's black. Use a clothesline rather than electric tumble dryer. But again, it's a bit difficult in the winter, isn't it? So what I try and do is in the summer, when the weather's good, I then hang my clothes out instead of using the tumble dryer. But sometimes we can't avoid using the tumble dryer. If you spot your mum or dad eyeing up a leaf blower in the shop, convince them to save money and stick with a good old-fashioned rake. You could volunteer to take the leaves up yourself. So at school, for example, I think it was 2 days ago, the man was around school blowing all the leaves off the playground. Now, if he had a rake, which is something you use just with your hands to take the leaves up, then that would take a really long time for him and it probably wouldn't be very energy efficient. But if you're at home, you don't have to have one of those blowers there at home. You can use your hands and a bin bag really to do that. Let your hair dry naturally rather than using a hairdryer. That's a good tip. Take shorter showers rather than baths. That's also a good tip. Remember, lots of energy is used to make materials in the first place. Buying less and reusing or recycling more makes a big difference, and it does. That's what I've learned from our last week's sessions. Make sure phone and other chargers are unplugged when not in use. Very important. Not only is it important for energy, but also important for safety as well. You don't want them to overheat. And finally, when cooking with your parents, pop lids of saucepans of boiling water to save energy and make sure they're only boiling the amount of water they need. Now, I did notice this the other day that I've got a new kettle and when I usually boil water, I'm not very energy efficient, and I did fill the kettle up quite high and probably only use 1 cup's worth for a coffee. But in my new kettle, to promote not using too much water, they've actually got red labels in each of the parts of the kettle, and it shows me how much water I need for 1 cup, which is a really good guide. So I have actually, that's encouraged me to stick to that. So that's me becoming a bit more energy efficient. For tomorrow's session, we are going to be looking at food waste fighters and food for thought. So what I'd like you to do is just have a think actually for the rest of this session with the adult that's in the classroom or on your own if you're at home. What things can you do at home that you can take from this book to help you save energy? It might be something to do with your chargers probably, or your devices that you're using, your lights in your house, and making sure that your TVs are off. Okay, so we'd have a big think for this one because this session is a little bit shorter. Stay safe, and I will see you all tomorrow.